Let me start with you, Mr. Mohammed AlSada. Could you define and explain what's Industry 5.0?
Yes, so to start with, Industry 5.0 actually extends and reframes Industry 4.0, but Industry 4.0 basically is the convergence of multiple disciplines of technology, including automation, robotics, AI, for the main purpose of optimizing production, manufacturing processes, as well as reducing waste. So if we look at Industry 5.0, it's not just an extension of Industry 4.0, but actually it's also a reframing of that problem or that concept. Basically, it redefines our relationship with technology. We are moving away from using technology as tools, but rather now we are using them as partners, as companions. So the relationship is becoming more of we are collaborating with systems. We are integrating these systems to use them for the greater good or for business or for daily life applications. So there are a couple of main characteristics of Industry 5.0. It's basically, for example, the convergence of these technologies will create a new reality that we live in that combines both the digital and the physical world. The interweavance of both these worlds will create new realities for us and new application domains. As we can see, for example, there are emerging head-mounted displays, for example, the Apple Vision Pro, as well as others in virtual reality. So these are creating new forms of realities that combine both virtuality and reality together. Another key aspect of Industry 5.0 is super smart systems. And I think most of you are witnessing right now the applications of AI that we use now in our daily lives. But this is just the beginning. We are witnessing huge applications of AI across all domains of life and industry. And these AI systems are embodied in multiple ways. There are generic AI systems, there are specific AI systems for specific applications, and there are embodiments basically in the digital world, for example, ChatGPT, that we use for different applications, and we have physical embodiments through robots and actuated systems. For instance, we have collaborative robots now. There is huge demand and adoption by the market to have collaborative robots to be used for small manufacturing processes as well as large plants. These robots work hand in hand with the humans. They are safe enough to work with the human. They understand the task. They understand the intentions of humans. And so we are collaborating with these robots. We are no longer using them as tools. So there is a paradigm shift that we are witnessing in Industry 5.0, basically. But these are the main aspects of this Industry 5.0 concepts, and it's currently taking shape. However, there are a lot of uncertainties right now regarding Industry 5.0 because it's currently developing.
Mohammed, this is very fascinating. Question, yes or no? Should we be afraid of Industry 5.0?
No.
We are very lucky, ladies and gentlemen, to live and to witness this time. That we are witnessing a revolution in the industry, and we are seeing this as we implement it here as well. Let me move to you, Your Excellency. As a policy maker, from a policy perspective, what are the most critical components of Industry 5.0 that will drive digital society development in Qatar?
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like really to complement what my colleague mentioned. Industry 5.0, as he mentioned, it's not any more tools. It's a continuation of automation. It is becoming into autonomous. So before we have the machines, we have all possibility to provide us with services. Now it's autonomous. So the digital become now like a colleague for us. So it's next to us. It's not serving just or helping me to do my work. So the policies that we need really to reform and to look into it, how we can really set the right policies for this Industry 5.0. The first policy we have to look into the AI and data. Now, the data is really gathered everywhere. The AI modules and systems, it's really start to be serving us and creating many autonomous vehicles, robots, and many things to be autonomous operated. So we need these kinds of policies which will support us to have the right ethical AI modules, and even to collect the data and to protect everyone's data, just to make sure that we are really preparing our AI modules to operate on its best. We need all potential and possible data, so the data is our future and it's our fuel. And also, the ministry did put a great focus for 5.0, where by launching the digital agenda strategy for Qatar, we are really setting all the best options and roadmap for really utilizing the power of technology for the future of Qatar, for the economy for Qatar, and putting Qatar on the international map. So it's not anymore that we are looking Qatar as a standalone country. We have to be part of the international and global economy. Also, we are working currently on a national data management. So this is one of the key things and components we need really to have for 5.0. So we are in a stage of developing the law, the framework, and even the management roadmap for that. How to support all the country to make sure that they start to standardize and prepare their data for this revolution. The second important part in the policy, we need really to upskill and reskill the human capital in Qatar. All the skills that we have, the knowledge, it's really great. We have a very advanced really workforce. We serve very well 4.0, and now we need to be ready for 5.0. I know the transition from 4 to 5, it happens so fast, but this is the technology. So we need really to make sure that we are upskilling and reskilling the human capital at the speed of 18 months. Every 18 months, we have really to look and revise again our digital skills. So this is the way to make sure that we are adapting to this change quickly. The third important part, which is there will be a big need, a massive need of the compute power. So having machines and a processor to handle this massive data, not the current machines will handle it. We need this supercomputers and this superpower. And definitely Qatar did really work very well in paving the way for 5.0 by having a cloud capacity. And now there is really a big intention towards purchasing the the mass power processor. And even we need really to look into our investment model here in Qatar, where the need on the coming 18 months for the computer power, it will multiply 10 times. So those are the key things that from a policy perspective, the ministry is focusing on in order to make sure that we are the first adapter into the 5.0.
Your Excellency, I will stay with you here. The world is extremely fast and the technology is extremely fast. Even the most developed countries around the world are facing a lot of issues with the policy. How can you keep up with Industry 5.0 to apply the policy?
We need really to be innovative. We need to be the pioneer, the first really adopter to it. So we are not hesitant to wait for others. We are taking the lead. We are one of the first countries who launched their AI strategy and working on the framework and the policies, ethics. And yesterday you heard the Prime Minister announcing one of the most innovative projects for AI. So definitely Qatar is really taking the lead on that, like few countries. When we look around, we cannot see much countries yet announce their strategies or their framework, but we believe that this time Qatar is really taking the lead with other countries. So we are innovative and really brave enough to go
Inshallah. I love your ending. We are taking the lead, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Oil and gas is very important. Mr. Tallant, I think you have the very critical question. So you are from Shell, and Shell is playing a very important role in the sector of gas and energy. How Shell leveraging the principle of Industry 5.0, particularly in the term of sustainability and social responsibility in the operation and investment?
No, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody, and great to be part of this esteemed panel. I think, as Ali said, it's an amazing time to be alive and actually be in this industry. If you think about it, what Industry 5.0 is taking technology and solving some of the biggest problems we faced in generations. And of course, one of them is around how do we manage the energy transition and how do we do it both environmentally sustainably and also how we can continue to keep the social fabric of society as we go through this. And so at Shell, we think we have an important part to play both in providing energy for today and doing it sustainably, but also creating the new energy system of the future that's much lower carbon. And technology plays a big part of that. So if you think through what is Shell's targets and what are our ambitions in terms when it comes to our carbon footprint, we want to reduce our Scope 1 and 2 emissions in our operations by 50% by 2030. And we're about 60% already on the way there after 2023. And technology has played a big part of that. We've also said we want to help in specific sectors. So for instance, in mobility or in transport, we want to help our customers reduce their carbon intensity by 15 to 20% by 2030 as well against the 2021 baseline. And again, we're going to have new ways of working, new technologies, both physical and digital, that will be able to help us get there. So if I think a little bit about how do you do that today? How do you become much more sustainable in terms of the energy we provide today? And we use technology to do that. So we have advanced analytics, we have predictive modeling that allow us to be able to be much more energy efficient in our operations today, reduces flaring, of course, makes our operations much lower in terms of their carbon intensity. And if we didn't have the ability to use data like we have, there's no way that we could get to some of the carbon intensity targets that we've reached by 2023. If you think about going forward as well and some of the future developments in the oil and gas sector, we're using predictive modeling, we're using machine learning to be able to go after reservoirs that are in the past might have been harder to find, but also in terms of operations to be much, much more efficient in our operations. So there's a whole lesson around efficiency and using technology and data to be able to decarbonize our current operations. If you think about the future, we spend between $10 to $15 billion between 2023 and 2025 on new technologies to decarbonize the energy system. And these are the things I think a lot of people think about when they think of energy transition and maybe more physical technologies when it comes to hydrogen technology, carbon capture and sequestration, e-mobility, so electrifying the transportation system, and of course storage that goes with that. And so a great example is we're investing in Holland Hydrogen 1 in the Netherlands today, but that's fed from our wind farm that we have offshore that will come into Holland Hydrogen 1, produce green hydrogen that actually goes into our operations in our chemicals and products plants in Rotterdam, which will decarbonize a lot of the products that we sell to the world today. So integrating these things together. And technology, again, plays a key part of that. We would not be able to do that without the data, infrastructure, advanced analytics, predictive modeling, machine learning, AI, everything that goes into that. But of course, it's not just us. We also realize that we have to partner with people. So we have Shell Ventures, which we've set up to be able to help entrepreneurs, startups, and scale-ups and things like electric mobility, in terms of electric storage, in terms of digital technology that can bring all these pieces together to make sure that we can continue to drive a low-carbon future. So it's a really exciting time to be in this industry, and technology plays a key part of it. And of course, you have to bring the human centricity to that as well.
Mr. Tallant, in Qatar, we are very lucky to have one of the biggest oil company like Shell here in Qatar, and we have Microsoft and Google and many other countries and many other companies. And the good thing is some of the biggest companies like Cisco, they're taking Qatar as their R&D. And the good thing about Qatar, like having you, Mr. Tallant, we have a lot of nationalities here in Qatar. We have a lot of great minds. We have more than 135 nationalities in Qatar, and you are very far from Oklahoma. Welcome, and we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So I'll move to you, Mr. Al-Kubaisi. So you are following everyday news. What are the trending in Industry 5.0? We see innovation every single day. We're not sure, and everybody claiming that this will be the future and that will be the future. In your perspective, what's trending and what is the light of the future of 5.0?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Ali, and really thank you for Qatar University and Qatar Economic Forum for making this panel happen. Well, it's really hard to kind of filter the signal from the noise, right? So because also one of my friends was joking to me, is now all the marketing material in the companies will see they slap AI on it, right? I say, okay, this is the new thing, blank AI. And it's really making it hard for the end user to really figure out, okay, what is really it delivers. And I think that's what we've done differently from with our clients and customers, is really worked with them on what we call the total experience and shifting them from what we call customer experience to total experience. And this really is more intuitive than it sounds. What we mean by customer experience is the typical, what are the steps required for you to deliver a task? Let's say you will open a bank account, right? So if you go back, like when was the kind of first bank opened in Qatar, like 1960s?
1 year.
Yeah, so if you go back to that time, you have to be physically there.
Right.
And you have to have the burden of proving that you are Ali, or you're Khalid, or someone else. And then you have to prove that the source of fund is really what you need. Huh? And if you kind of move to today's term, this can all be done by technology, right? So you can open a bank account through your mobile phone. You can prove your identity by showing your face and using AI and using some other technologies. And that's what we also help our customers to really think on different vectors. Huh? So one is the customer experience, where this is how many steps are needed to deliver a job. But not only that, also on the employee experience, right? Let's say you're a teller in a bank or you are a recipient of an application. How can we really improve your effort per unit to do a transaction? Let's say if your task takes you, let's say 30 minutes, right? How can I bring it back to 5 minutes, right? And this is by using technology like AI, by using technology like OCRs, like robotic process automation, and so on, etc. And the third element, what we look at in the total experience, is what we call the user experience. So how do we make it frictionless? Is it easy as like ordering a meal on Talabat or Sununu? And how do we really bring this kind of experience back to our customers and the client? And the third one, what we call the omni experience. How do we avoid using a typical application or an interface to have a multi-interface? Let's say if you want to open it on, if you're opening a bank account example, or for example, let's say WhatsApp. So you submit, you take a picture, a selfie, and this can be done. How can we maintain a consistent experience across those different channels, because it's there and it is happening? And when we apply those principles of the past years with our customers, we've really seen a significant improvements in productivity, yeah? Because there's one thing of building in a technology infrastructure that is not valuable, right? So you'll do it, you'll have like white elephants, so a big and gigantic technology piece, but what's the value to the end customer? And that's really get lost in translation from the initial inception, to the end user, to the contractor who's going to build this infrastructure. This all get lost in translation. So what we've done is that we really took this kind of total experience approach with our customers, and we had this conversation with them and taking it throughout. And by that, we've worked with our strategic customer, the General Authority of Customs, in digitizing their processes end to end. And what we've seen by applying those principles, a 20-fold increase into their capacity in one of their strategic KPIs in processing declarations per day. And that's something is significant. They were able to really deliver on their KPIs, so on. And that's not only by technology, but also their strategic orientation of using technology, right? Because technology is not the answer to everything, right? So there are some technology piece and there are non-technology piece. And that is something that we're very grateful for and happy to see, and we're driving this agenda with our customers.
Mr. Khalid, a lot of analysis says the Industry 5.0 is a $1 trillion industry that will see the light very soon. I am a small investor. What would you recommend to me to invest in? What sector in 5.0?
In terms of your own money? Well,
yes, let's say my own money.
Okay, this is not the financial advice.
Okay. So where do you see leading? Is it nanotechnology? Is it AI? Who do you think?
Well, I think you need to look at it holistically, right? Because we always, and this is the irony, we're a technology company, we're a system integrator, and the first thing when we go to talk to our customers is forget about technology. What is the value you want to deliver to your customer, right? In a very simplistic manner. The technology is in a mean to an end. If we're starting the conversation with what technology, right? We took the conversation in different discourse. And that's what we try. There's a lot of interesting areas that we see and we're very excited about in terms of the use of, like what Her Excellency mentioned, the use of AI, and how do we really make LLMs and models that are native Arabic or sovereign LLMs. This will have a significance important as a national level for the country. But that's where we're looking at, and I think the world all the time will tell about where is the ascending trends. We see a lot of hype going on over AI and the application of AI, and that's how the market is reacting. But that's my orientation toward how I would look at it.
Mr. Tallant, I'll go back to you. In a sentence, where do you see the challenges to implement Industry 5.0 in the oil and gas industry?
Yeah, there are many challenges. I'd say the one that really is the biggest challenge is the skill gap that we see right now in the workforce. I just think about when I was coming up, and the technology that we learned in university is completely different than what we see today. So it's changing so fast to be able to get people upskilled to be able to do Industry 5.0. And we have a couple of great things that we're doing here in Qatar to kind of help out with that. One's called InExplore, which helps high school students really be able to create some great science projects, and we use our shell technology to help them. And another one we have called Tafawok, which is around project management to help people. So I would say skills gap, but I think the importance, though, is how industry policymakers and educational institutes come together to make sure that we can drive that.
This is why we are here at Qatar University, so to be aligned with Industry 5.0. Mr. Mohammed, what do you think are the challenges implementing 5.0?
In my opinion, my point basically extends what Mr. Khalid has mentioned. It's the fragmentation of technologies in Industry 5.0 creates like a very, very large or multi-dimensional problem. We have AI, we have automation, we have robotics, we have virtual augmented reality, and the convergence of all of these, interweaving them together to create value is the main challenge. So although these technologies are developing rapidly, but how to mix them together to create value for the end user, for the industry. This is, I would say, the main challenge or the main point that we have to tackle to create Industry 5.0.
Clear. Thank you.
May I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I would say the challenge is maybe trust. And how do we ensure that whatever we build on top of this infrastructure is trustworthy? And it is harder than it sounds, because under this trust and how you decompose trust, you will find the trust of the systems, like are they secure? Can you trust that this computer will tell you, let's say, God forbid, you're on a diagnosis of some certain disease. Can you trust this computer will tell you that this is actually accurate, is an actual diagnosis or not, because we're going to that path. And the second kind of element, apart from the infrastructure, is the biases of the data, right? Because all what we do, the abstraction of decisions that we do, because now a lot of what you're doing is delegation of trust to a system. And the system will be as accurate, as good as data. And is this the data biased towards a certain direction, right? And we've seen a lot of research about how the data is biased to certain nationality or certain kind of way and belief of certain, whether political or non-political. And that's not universal by virtue, right? This is not universal. So how do we make sure that the data and the infrastructure is really trustworthy for you to delegate such important decisions?
This is a very important point, Khalid, because during the World Cup we had 80 million attacks per day during the World Cup, and none of them succeeded. So we had an army of IT, and then we have an army of people that's working and aligning with the industry to solve the industry. Your Excellency, from your perspective and policy maker, what are the most challenges you see implementing the industry?
I agree with Khalid. Adoption to technology, definitely, it's really one of the main challenges. The technology is developing so fast. But the most really challenging is the compute power. We have a huge need. And as I mentioned, the need is really doubling 10 times on the next 18 months. So if you are an investor and you have good amount of money, so invest in GPUs. And if you have little money, then invest on generative AI solutions. Collect some unique data and start to work with it. Create that set of unique analysis around this data. Trust me, you will make money.
That's music to my ears. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
It depends on amount of investment. Skills is very also challenging. As I said, we need really to focus on upskilling, reskilling people every 18 months. So imagine the effort that is needed. There are many jobs that will start to vanish. Doesn't mean that we don't need the people. It means I have to upskill those jobs quickly. So this is the speed that we have to do is 18 months. GPUs needs to be manufactured so quickly. People needs to upskill themselves, and adoption for technology. We know it's not every time that you set a new solution, everyone will adapt to it. It's not the case with ChatGPT, where we can see the adoption was so massive and huge. But I mean, there are other solutions, and AI applications will really face some challenges in adoption. But those are the key things or the key drivers for us, how we move fast on 5.0.
Tawfiq, inshallah. So I'm going to move very fast with this question. I wish I have more time, because what are we talking about? And this session is extremely remarkable. I'll go with you, Mr. Tallant. As we look toward the future, what one key action should businesses and governments take to fully capitalize on the opportunity of Industry 5.0?
So maybe just quickly is not to fear this, right? It's human centricity. It's how you bring connection of humans and technology together. And it's not about delegation or about losing roles. It's about being able to change the way we do things for the better. So what I would say is take the opportunity. Don't fear it. It's not about replacing workforce. It's about solving problems for the next generation.
And what do you think, Mohammed?
I have 2 points mainly, and I have to be honest. The first one is building local capacity, and I'm talking about Qatar. If we don't build Industry 5.0, it will be built for us, and we'll be forced to use it. And as you know, maybe many of you are familiar, there are maybe trade embargoes to stop the sale of, for example, NVIDIA high-end chips that are used for LLMs. So we are in Qatar, we are not, for example, many Middle Eastern countries cannot buy these chips to develop LLM models. So we are deprived of this technology. So what's the alternative? What's our next move? The second point I have is that Industry 5.0, we should not just consider the industrial point of view, but also the societal point of view. So one key aspect that comes to mind is it's a term coined by the Japanese government. It's about Society 4.0. Society 5.0 is the super smart society that will be using the technologies enabled in Industry 5.0. So what are the social ramifications? What are the social impact on people, on jobs, on daily lives? This is something that we have to really consider.
Inshallah. And Your Excellency?
I'll make it brief. It's just to focus on data and adapt it, data by design. So start with your data before designing your system.
Data for design. And Mr. Khalid?
Collaboration. So collaboration between private and public sector. The private sector cannot do the role of the government, and the government cannot do the role of private sector. So collaboration is the best way for us to navigate this.
Collaboration. I really appreciate all your time. Thank you so much for being here.